What if every conversation you had could tilt the odds in your favor? What if you could lead, persuade, and inspire without ever needing to force, beg, or fake it? This audiobook is your blueprint to mastering the invisible forces that shape human behavior. You'll learn how to read minds without mind reading, move people without manipulation, and turn subtle influence into unstoppable power. This isn't just about talking differently. It's about thinking differently. Influence isn't a talent, it's a trained skill, and your training begins now. Introduction. Welcome to the game. Welcome to Master the Game, the art of psychological influence. If you're listening right now, I already know something about you. You're not here to be ordinaries. You're not here to live passively drifting through life, letting others make the moves while you watch from the sidelines. No, you're here because you want to master the game, and the truth is life is a game, business is a game. Relationships are a game. Social circles, negotiations, career paths, every one of them is built on subtle rules of power, persuasion, and perception. And in every game there are winners and there are pawns. This audiobook is your playbook. Why influence matters in today's world. Let's face it, talent alone is no longer enough. Hard work is essential but not sufficient. We live in a world of noise. Every brand, every voice, every idea is competing for attention. If you can't influence, you're invisible. If you can't influence, you'll watch lesser killed, less experienced people pass you by simply because they knew how to position themselves. Whether you're a creator, entrepreneur, leader, student, employee, or just someone trying to improve relationships, influence is the invisible force that opens doors. It gets people to say yes. It earns trust. It builds movements, it changes lives. And the best part, you don't have to be born with it. Influence is a skill and skills can be learned. Influence versus manipulation. Know the difference. Now let's clear up a common fear. Many people hear the word influence and automatically think of manipulation, trickery, or control. But there's a world of difference. Manipulation is influence without empathy. It's selfish. It's deceptive. It's about taking. Influence, on the other hand, is about connection. It's about understanding how people work and using that understanding to inspire, lead, and create win-win outcomes. One is rooted in fear, the other in trust. And throughout this audiobook, we'll make sure you stay on the right side of that line, because real power, it comes from respect, not force. What you'll gain from this audiobook. Here's what you're about to discover in the chapters ahead. The psychological triggers that drive human behavior. The power of presence, confidence, and charisma. How to communicate in ways that move people without shouting or selling out. Tools for building trust, shaping perception, and framing your message. How to protect yourself from dark influence and use your own ethically. The time you finish listening, you won't just understand the rules of the game. You'll know how to bend them, shape them, own them. You'll stop being the one who gets swayed and become the one who sways others. Not through force, not through lies, but through awareness, strategy, and intention. Real-life masters of the game. Think about the most influential people in history. Martin Luther King Jr., Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, Elon Musk, Barack Obama. What did they have in common? They weren't the loudest. They weren't the richest, at least not at first, but they understood people. They knew how to craft a message, how to lead hearts, how to inspire belief. Influence isn't just for politicians or CEOs, it's for you. There are teachers influencing students every day. Parents influencing children, marketers shaping decisions without saying a word, friends motivating each other to rise higher. And every one of them is playing the game, whether they realize it or not. How to listen, take notes, reflect, and apply. This isn't just something you hear, it's something you use. I designed this audiobook to be practical. Each chapter is packed with strategies, stories, and insights. So don't just passively consume it. Pause when something hits. Reflect on how it applies to your life. Take notes, replay parts that challenge you, apply one idea at a time, and watch the shifts begin. This is about building psychological muscle. And like any skill, the more you use it, the sharper you get. A call to action. Be a player, not a pawn. Now I'll leave you with one final thought before we dive into chapter 1. In life, you have two choices. Be a pawn moved around by others, reacting, waiting, hoping, or be a player, intentional, aware, strategic, someone who doesn't just watch the game, but masters it. Every chapter of this book is a step toward becoming that player, that leader, that version of you that walks into rooms and shifts the energy without saying a word. That person who people listen to, trust, and follow, not because you force them to, but because they want to. So buckle up. We're about to dive deep into the psychology of influence. Let's master the game together. Chapter 1, The Psychology Behind Influence. Welcome to the real beginning of your journey. Now that you've stepped into the game, it's time to understand the engine that runs it. Because before we can learn how to influence others, we have to understand how people think, how they decide, how they're moved, and how their minds, your mind included, can be nudged, swayed, or steered, often without even realizing it. Let's talk psychology. Let's talk influence. Let's talk about the wiring of the human brain, how the human brain processes decisions. Here's something fascinating. Most of your decisions are not made logically. Sure, we like to think we're rational creatures, that we weigh the facts, look at the data, and then choose the best course of action. But neuroscience tells a different story. The majority of decisions happen subconsciously in milliseconds, driven not by reason but by instinct, emotion, and gut feeling. The brain is constantly scanning the environment, asking questions like, is this safe? Does this benefit me? What do others think? Have I seen this before? All of that happens before your conscious mind even knows there's a decision to be made. The logical brain, called the neocortex, is slow. It's like a judge in a courtroom. But before that judge ever sees the case, the emotional brain, the limbic system, already handed out a verdict. In other words, people feel first, then justify later. The role of emotions, biases, and perceptions. Emotions are not the enemy of logic. They're the gatekeepers. When someone makes a choice, whether it's buying a product, following a leader, or choosing a partner, what they're really asking is, how does this make me feel? Do I feel safe? Do I feel seen? Do I feel excited? Do I feel included? Influence happens at the emotional level first. Even in business, where numbers and logic seem to rule, studies show that most purchasing decisions are made emotionally and then rationalized with logic afterward. That's why marketers use storytelling. That's why politicians use slogans and symbols. That's why charismatic leaders connect with hearts before they ever touch the mind. The brain is not a cold calculator. It's a feeling machine that thinks sometimes. This is where cognitive biases come into play. Cognitive biases, anchoring, reciprocity, social proof. Your brain is powerful, but it also takes shortcuts. These shortcuts are called biases, and they help us survive, save energy, and make quick decisions. But they also make us predictably irrational. Let's look at 3 of the most powerful biases that are used every single day to influence human behavior. 1. Anchoring bias. Imagine you walk into a store and see a shirt priced at $300. You scoff and walk away, but then just beside it, there's another shirt on sale for $79. Suddenly, $79 doesn't feel that bad, right? That's anchoring in action. The first number sets the anchor, and every number that follows is compared against it. Retailers use it. Negotiators use it. Even dating apps use it. By showing you a 10 before they show you a 7, they make the 7 seem more approachable. Once the anchor is set, your brain adjusts all your expectations around it. Want to influence someone? Be the first to set the frame. Lead with the anchor. 2. Reciprocity. Here's a simple truth. When someone gives you something, you feel compelled to give something back. That's reciprocity. It's hardwired into our social brains. Ever gotten a free sample and felt guilty, walking away without buying something? That's reciprocity. Ever received help from someone and felt a deep urge to return the favor? That's reciprocity. Again, this principle is why successful influencers, leaders, and businesses often give first. They offer value, insight, entertainment without asking, and that creates a sense of loyalty, trust, and an almost invisible obligation to reciprocate. Want to build influence? Start by giving generously, strategically, but genuinely. 3. Social proof. Humans are tribal creatures. We look to others when we're unsure. We follow the crowd not because we're weak, but because we're wired for survival. This is social proof. The idea that if lots of people are doing something, it must be the right thing. That's why testimonials work. Why reviews are more powerful than ads. Why people wait in long lines just to get into a restaurant. If others are into it, maybe I should be too. This is why influencers display their followers. Why businesses show logos of clients they've worked with. Why thought leaders get featured in TED Talks, magazines, and news platforms. Because social proof builds trust faster than logic ever could. If you're starting from scratch, don't worry. You can build social proof gradually, collect testimonials, share small wins, show behind-the-scenes content, highlight engagement, even if it's just a few people at first. People trust what other people trust. Influence triggers hardwired into the brain. Now let's talk about the core influence triggers. Those primal buttons in the brain that when pressed make people say yes without realizing why. These are the keys you'll be using throughout this audiobook. Attention: you can't influence anyone if you don't have their focus. First, get noticed, be different, be clear, be relevant. Emotion: make people feel. Use stories, vulnerability, surprise and passion. Relevance: speak their language, show them what's in it for them. People don't care about your goals, they care about their own trust. Build it through consistency, authenticity, and shared values. If people don't trust you, they won't follow you. Urgency: give people a reason to act now. Scarcity, time sensitivity, and momentum all matter. Identity: help people see themselves in your message. Make them feel like this is for people like me. When you combine these elements, influence becomes almost effortless. Real-world examples: sales, politics, and social media. Let's bring this to life with a few examples from the real world. Sales. A skilled salesperson doesn't just list features. They paint a vision, they show what life will feel like after the purchase. They might use social proof. Thousands of people are using this already. They create urgency. We only have a few left in stock. They build reciprocity. Let me offer you a free 30-day trial. No pressure. None of this is random. It's psychological influence at work. Politics. Politicians craft messages to emotionally connect. They use framing to turn problems into causes. They lean on anchoring compared to what the other party is doing. They use identity. Real Americans believe in this. Whether or not you agree with their views, their strategy is rooted in brain science. Social media. Ever wonder why some creators explode while others fade away? They use hooks to grab attention in the first 3 seconds. They tell emotional stories that people relate to. They build consistency, which builds trust. They display likes, shares, comments, social proof. They create tribes, a sense of belonging. The most followed voices understand psychological triggers even if they don't call them that. They've learned the art of influence, often through trial and error. But you're getting it directly. Wrapping up, influence is a map, not magic. Let's make one thing clear before we move on. Influence isn't magic, it's a map. Every decision you've ever made followed a path, a predictable pattern. Once you understand that path, you can lead people along it. You're not here to trick people. You're here to lead, inspire, and guide. But to do that, you have to understand what guides them. And now you do. As we move forward in this audiobook, you'll learn exactly how to apply these psychological principles in conversations, relationships, leadership, business, and beyond. We've just opened the door. Next, we'll talk about the power of first impressions and why what people think of you in the first few seconds can make or break your ability to influence them. Let's keep playing the game. Chapter 2, The Power of First Impressions. Let's imagine a scenario. You walk into a room, you don't say a word, you haven't introduced yourself, you haven't even made eye contact yet. And yet, within seconds, people have already decided something about you. Are you confident or shy? Are you competent or clueless? Are you someone they want to listen to or someone they want to avoid? Welcome to the world of first impressions. In the game of influence, first impressions are the opening move. And if you miss that moment, you may spend the rest of the interaction trying to catch up or worse, trying to undo someone's initial judgment. So in this chapter, we're going to dig deep into the psychology behind snap judgments, how your appearance, voice, and body language shape perception, how the brain mirrors emotions, and why your energy matters, and one of the most powerful psychological effects you can use to your advantage, the halo effect. Because here's the truth. Influence doesn't start when you speak. It starts the moment someone sees you. And in a world of shrinking attention spans and instant reactions, you need to own that moment. The science of snap judgments. Let's get one thing straight. Are being judged always, not in a mean-spirited way, but in a biological one. The human brain is constantly scanning for cues. Is this person safe? Are they powerful? Are they worth listening to? This process happens within milliseconds. Some studies suggest that people form their first impression of you in 1/10 of a second. That's before you say your name, before you tell your story, before you show your credentials. And even more powerful, once that impression is made, people subconsciously look for evidence to confirm it. This is called confirmation bias. And it's why the start of every interaction is so critical. Get it right and the game becomes easier. Get it wrong and you may lose before you've even begun. Dressing, speaking, and behaving with intention. Let's break it down practically. Your appearance. Whether we like it or not, appearance matters. You don't need designer clothes. You don't need to look like a celebrity, but you do need to look intentional. Here's what that means. Your style matches the context. You're well-groomed. You look like someone who cares about how they present themselves. Why does this matter? Because how you treat yourself signals to others how they should treat you. If you walk into a business meeting looking sloppy, people subconsciously assume your thinking is sloppy too. If you show up polished, they assume you're competent even before you prove it. That's how the brain works. Want to be taken seriously. Dress like someone who takes themselves seriously. Your voice. Your voice is one of your most powerful influence tools. Is it shaky or steady, fast or slow, flat or expressive? People listen not just to what you say, but how you say it. Confidence isn't loud. Confidence is controlled. It's clarity, calmness, a certain weight in your tone that says, I mean this. Practice slowing your speech just a little. Lower your tone slightly at the end of your sentences. Avoid filler words like, like, or you know. These small shifts can transform the way people perceive you. Because influence isn't just about what's said, it's about what's felt. Your body language you are speaking, even when your mouth is closed. In fact, research shows that over 70% of communication is nonverbal. Your posture, your gestures, your ear-eye contact, it all sends a message. Stand tall, shoulders back, chin up. Make warm, steady eye contact. Use open gestures. Don't fidget, smile. Not a fake grin, but a grounded, calm confidence. The goal isn't to act like someone else. The goal is to act like the most intentional version of yourself. Because body language tells people what you believe about yourself. And if you don't believe in you, neither will they. Mirror neurons and emotional contagion. Here's something powerful. Humans are wired to reflect the emotions of others. This happens through something called mirror neurons. Special brain cells that fire both when you do something and when you see someone else do it. That's why yawns are contagious. That's why laughter spreads through a room. And it's why your energy influences the people around you, even in silence. If you walk into a room feeling anxious, that anxiety gets picked up. If you enter with certainty, calmness, and focus, others begin to match your vibe. This is called emotional contagion, and great influencers use it strategically. Want to calm a tense situation? You stay calm first. Want people to feel inspired? You bring the inspiration. Energy is contagious, but so is insecurity. That's why preparing your internal state is just as important as preparing your words. Before any interaction, ask yourself, what do I want people to feel? How can I embody that feeling myself? That's how you become emotionally magnetic, the halo effect, and how to use it. Now let's talk about one of the most fascinating psychological principles in the world of influence, the halo effect. This is a bias where people assume that if someone is good at one thing, they must be good at other things too. Here's how it works. If someone thinks you're attractive, they're more likely to assume you're smart. If you sound confident, they assume you're competent, even if you're not. If you carry yourself like a leader, people assume you deserve leadership. This happens all the time in job interviews, social settings, even dating. The halo effect means that your first impression sets the tone for everything that follows. If you nail that first 30 seconds, people will unconsciously give you the benefit of the doubt, even when you slip up later. It's like starting the game with bonus points. So how do you use the halo effect ethically? Lead with your strengths, don't hide them, control your entry. When possible, let your reputation speak before you do. Present yourself with care. The sharper your image, the stronger the assumption of quality. Perception may not be the full truth, but in the real world, perception becomes reality. Influence starts before you speak. We've been taught that influence begins with communication, but now you know better. Influence begins with presence. Before you open your mouth, before you pitch your idea, before you ask for anything, people are already assessing, do I trust this person? Do I want to listen to them? Do I believe what they say? And here's the good news. You don't need to be born charismatic. You don't need to be fake or performative. You just need to be intentional, show up with self-respect. Carry yourself with quiet power. Project confidence even if you're still building it. That's how you shift a room. That's how you become the person people turn to. That's how you master the first impression. Action steps, how to own your first impression. Let's get practical. Here are a few exercises you can use to improve your presence starting today. Record yourself. Film a 30-second introduction of yourself. Watch for posture, voice tone, and expressions. Be honest. What vibe are you giving off? Dress with purpose. Pick your outfit tomorrow with intention. What message does it send? Who are you dressing to become? Energy check. Before any interaction, ask yourself, what energy am I bringing into the room? Shift into that energy before you walk in. Anchor moments. Think of a time you felt confident, powerful, or grounded. Replay it in your mind before key events. This triggers your state. Smile first. One of the fastest ways to shift how people feel around you, a calm, genuine smile. It opens doors before you say a word. Closing thoughts. First impressions are the front door. Think of first impressions like the front door of your house. If it's cracked, messy, or uninviting, people hesitate to come in. But if it's clean, warm, and confident, they step inside with trust. In the game of influence, every interaction is a new visitor at your door. Show them who you are. Not the masked version, not the nervous version, the best version of you. Because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. But once you make a powerful one, the rest becomes easier. In the next chapter, we'll dive into the heart of influence, building trust and connection. You'll learn why trust is the true currency of influence and how to build it quickly, deeply, and authentically. Let's keep mastering the game. Chapter 3, Language of Leaders. The words that move people, words move the world. Think about it. Every great movement started with a speech. Every transformation began with a conversation. Every powerful influence, whether in business, politics, or everyday life, was delivered through carefully chosen language. That's the language of leaders. They don't just speak, they persuade, they connect. They move people to action. In this chapter, you'll learn the key traits of persuasive communication. Why tone, pauses, and vocal rhythm matter more than you think, the basics of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and how leaders use it. How storytelling bypasses resistance and taps into the subconscious, and how to speak not just to people's minds, but to their hearts and instincts. Because in the game of psychological influence, language is your most powerful tool. Use it well and people will follow. Use it carelessly and even your best ideas may fall flat. Let's explore how to speak like a leader, not to impress but to influence, persuasive communication styles. There's a difference between talking and leading through language. Leaders don't just communicate to be understood. They communicate to influence behavior, mindset, and emotion. So what do persuasive communicators do differently? They speak with clarity. They cut through the noise. No jargon, no fluff. Their message is simple, clean, and sharp. Think of Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. He didn't use complicated words or $10 phrases. He used plain language but delivered with passion, rhythm, and clarity. Persuasive communicators don't ramble, they don't fill space. They get to the point, they say exactly what needs to be said and stop when it's powerful enough. They speak with confidence. Confidence doesn't mean arrogance, it means certainty. Your voice, posture, and pace all send a message. I believe what I'm saying, and so should you. You'll notice they rarely over-explain or apologize for their message. They let their words land and give them space to breathe. They speak with purpose. Great communicators ask themselves before they speak, what do I want this person to feel? What do I want them to do? That level of intentionality sharpens every word, every pause, every gesture. They're not just talking, they're directing emotion. And that's the beginning of real influence. The power of words, tone, and pauses. Let's get tactical. Your message has 3 dimensions. Words, tone, delivery, pauses, pace, rhythm. Let's break them down. Words, choose with precision. Words have weight. Some words energize, others drain. Some inspire action, others trigger resistance. Example, you need to stop being lazy. What if you discovered how powerful your discipline already is? See the difference? One criticizes, the other reframes and uplifts. Leaders use words like imagine, discover, transform. Because let's words that invite collaboration, spark curiosity, and move people forward. Always ask, is this word building connection or putting up walls? Tone, say it like you mean it. How you say it matters more than what you say. Your tone of voice conveys emotion, and emotion drives decisions. Want to inspire? Use upward energetic tones. Want to build trust? Speak with calm certainty. Want to motivate? Add force and rhythm to your voice. Want to make someone think deeply? Lower your tone and slow your pace. Imagine saying I believe in you in 3 different ways. Flat and robotic, no impact, warm and steady, builds confidence, powerful and slow, becomes unforgettable. Your tone is the music behind your message. Make it match the meaning. Pauses, the unsung hero of influence. Most people rush through their words. Leaders don't. They pause strategically to let a message sink in, to hold attention, to create drama, to own the silence. Try this. You were not born to be average. You were born to lead. That pause between sentences builds tension. It makes people lean in. It makes them remember. Use pauses like a conductor uses silence in music. It's not emptiness, it's power. NLP basics and linguistic framing. Now, let's get into a powerful concept used by top communicators worldwide. Neurolinguistic programming, or NLP. NLP is the study of how language patterns influence the soot's brain and behavior. It's not magic, it's pattern recognition, understanding how people think and how language shifts perception. Here are a few core NLP tools. 1. Framing and reframing. How you frame a message determines how people respond. Example, this will be difficult. This will be a challenge but a chance to grow stronger. You're saying the same thing but the frame is different. Reframing changes the emotional tone of a message without changing the facts. It's how leaders keep people moving during crisis. It's how negotiators shift resistance into curiosity. It's how you turn problems into possibilities. 2. Embedded commands. These are subtle directions hidden within ordinary sentences. For example, as you listen to this chapter, you might start to realize how powerful your words truly are. Did you catch the embedded command? Realize how powerful your words truly are. That kind of language bypasses resistance because it feels casual but still influences thought. Other examples, you might begin to see how this changes everything. Imagine what would happen if you took action now. You'll find yourself more confident every time you speak. Powerful, right? Used ethically, these patterns help people shift beliefs from the inside out. Storytelling as a persuasion, tool of logic convinces the mind. Stories win the heart. We are wired for stories. From cave paintings to TED Talks, stories help us understand complex ideas. Remember important lessons, feel emotionally connected. Great leaders are great storytellers. They don't just share information, they wrap it in narrative. Want to inspire someone? Don't just give advice. Tell them a story where you overcame a similar challenge. Want to teach a principle? Use a relatable character and walk the listener through their journey. Here's the framework. Most great stories follow the setup, a relatable character in a familiar world. The struggle, a challenge they must overcome. The solution, how they overcame it. The lesson, what we can all learn from it. You don't need to be Shakespeare. You just need to share with honesty and purpose. Because when someone hears your story, they don't just learn, they feel. And when people feel something, they act. Speaking to the subconscious mind, here's a powerful truth. Most decisions are made subconsciously, then justified rationally. The subconscious responds to emotion, visual imagery, rhythm and repetition, authority and certainty, familiar patterns. That means if you want to be truly persuasive, speak in ways that bypass logic and land in the emotional brain. Use metaphors. This moment is a doorway, you just have to walk through it. Use sensory language. Imagine the weight of self-doubt lifting from your shoulders. Use emotional contrast. You can stay where it's safe, or step into the power you've always had. Leaders know how to stir the subconscious by using language that paints pictures and evokes emotion. It's not manipulation, it's connection, it's leadership through language, action steps, sharpen your influence through speech. Let's make this chapter practical. Try these exercises this week. Record and reflect. Record yourself reading something aloud. Listen for tone, pace, and emotion. How do you sound? What could be stronger? Reframe your self-talk. Catch one negative thought today and reframe it from "I can't do this" to "This is unfamiliar, but I'm learning." Use embedded commands. In your next conversation, try soft commands like "you might notice." Imagine if you'll begin to tell a micro-story. Instead of giving someone advice, tell a quick story from your life that illustrates the lesson. Watch their engagement shift. Practice the pause. Next time you speak, pause before a key point. Let the silence create anticipation. Own that space. Final thoughts. Speak to lead, not just to talk. Leadership isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about saying what matters and saying it well. Your words are more than sounds. They're tools of our transformation. Use them to lift, not tear down, to guide, not control, to connect, not confuse. In the game of influence, your voice is your instrument. Learn to play it with precision and people will follow. In the next chapter, we'll dive into one of the most important currencies of influence, trust. You'll learn how to build it fast, protect it fiercely, and use it to unlock deep, lasting impact. Your voice is ready. Let's keep playing the game. Chapter 4, Magnetic Confidence, the unshakable power within you. Let's get one thing straight. Confidence is not arrogance, it's not loud. It's not showy, it's not puffing out your chest or dominating a room. True confidence is silent, calm, magnetic. It doesn't beg for attention. It attracts it, it doesn't fake certainty. It radiates it, and here's the best part. It's not something you're born with, it's something you build deliberately, intentionally, and powerfully. In this chapter, you'll learn how real confidence is formed, not faked. The psychology behind presence and inner poise, body language that commands respect without a single word. Why confident people influence effortlessly, and how to train your mind to believe in you even when you don't. Because here's the truth, you can know all the right words, you can master persuasion techniques. But if your energy doesn't back them up, people won't follow. Let's build the kind of confidence that doesn't just impress people, it moves them. The truth about real confidence. Let's bust a myth right now. Confidence is not pretending you're great, it's knowing you can handle whatever happens. That's what makes it magnetic. Think about the people you admire. The ones who walk into a room and instantly shift the atmosphere. They're not the loudest, they're not trying to prove anything. They're just grounded, present, certain, they move with purpose, they speak with conviction, and most importantly, they're comfortable in their own skin. That's the kind of confidence we're building here. Not the shaky fake it till you make it kind, but the deep-rooted kind that says I know who I am, I know what I bring and I don't need to chase approval. Let's explore how that kind of power is built. The psychology of presence and poise. Confidence isn't just about what you do, it's about how you show up. And the most powerful presence doesn't come from trying to impress. It comes from being fully present. Let's look at what happens when someone walks into a room with presence. They're not distracted by how others perceive them. Their body isn't tense. They're relaxed yet alert. Their eyes make contact not to dominate but to connect. They listen as much as they speak. They don't rush. They own their time. This is what psychologists call self-possession. A calm, centered awareness of yourself and your surroundings. And here's the good news. Presence is a skill, it can be trained, and it starts with a shift in focus. Try this the next time you feel nervous. Instead of thinking, how do I look? What do they think of me? Shift your attention to how can I serve in this moment? How can I add value? This simple mental shift pulls you out of self-consciousness and into confidence. Because true confidence isn't about you, it's about what flows through you. When you're focused on presence, you naturally radiate confidence. When you're obsessed with performance, you usually fall short. Body language that commands respect. Before you speak a word, your body speaks volumes. In fact, research shows that over 60% of communication is nonverbal and confident. People, they use their body like a conductor uses a baton with intent and control. Let's talk about what confident body language looks like and how to practice it. 1. Posture. Upright, not stiff. Stand tall, not rigid, relaxed but lifted. Imagine a string pulling the top of your head upward. Good posture sends a subconscious signal, I belong here, I'm in control. Slouching, fidgeting, or shrinking into yourself, that sends the opposite message even if your words are strong. 2. Eye contact. Steady, not staring. Confident eye contact is about connection, not control. Hold someone's gaze for 3 to 5 seconds, then naturally glance away. Think present, not predatory. Avoid darting eyes, that signals anxiety. Avoid staring, that creates discomfort. Practice looking at people with warmth and curiosity, that's magnetic. 3. Gestures, open and purposeful. Use your hands to emphasize, not overwhelm. Avoid crossing your arms or hiding your hands in pockets that can look closed off or uncertain. Open palms, expressive movements, and strong stillness all say, I trust myself. You can trust me too. Why confident people influence effortlessly. Confidence is contagious. When you believe in your message, people believe in you. When you trust yourself, people feel safe trusting you. Here's why. The brain is wired for certainty. In uncertain situations, we instinctively look to those who seem the most calm and sure of themselves. That's why in moments of crisis, we're drawn to confident leaders. That's why in conversations, we follow people who speak with poise. That's why in business, the most influential people are often the ones who project quiet certainty. Confidence signals stability. Stability builds trust. Trust leads to influence. Let that sink in, training the mind to believe in itself. Confidence isn't built overnight. It's not a magic switch. It's a mental habit created through small, consistent wins. Here are 5 practices to train your brain to believe in you. 1. Keep the promises you make to yourself. This is where confidence starts. When you say you'll do something, do it, even if it's small, especially if it's small. Every time you keep a promise, your brain says, I can trust myself. Every time you break one, it chips away at your self-belief. So start with micro promises. I'll wake up at 7. I'll do 10 push-ups. I'll write for 15 minutes. Keep the promise no matter what. Confidence is built in those moments. 2. Speak to yourself like you'd speak to a friend. Most people's internal voice is their worst critic. You'd never say to your friend, you're a failure. You always screw it up. But you say it to yourself and that damages your confidence every time. Start practicing internal encouragement. Say to yourself, you've handled worse. Let's see what you're capable of. You've got this. It's not cheesy. It's training your brain to believe. 3. Normalize discomfort. Confidence isn't the absence of fear. It's the willingness to act with fear. When you step into discomfort, public speaking, new challenges, tough conversations, you teach your brain this isn't dangerous. I can handle this. That rewires fear into courage. Make it a habit to do one small thing each day that pushes your comfort zone. Speak up in a meeting, make that call, start the project, post the video, start the conversation. Each rep builds resilience. Each rep builds belief. 4. Visualize yourself. Winning. Top athletes, speakers, and performers use this trick. They don't just hope they'll succeed, they see it first. Visualization activates the same brain regions as actual experience. That means when you visualize yourself walking on stage with power, speaking calmly and clearly, handling pressure with grace, hearing applause, or getting the yes, your brain starts believing it's already possible. Start a daily 2-minute visualization ritual. See yourself owning it, feel it, hear it, live it. Your subconscious starts aligning with that reality. 5. Celebrate the small wins. Confidence isn't just built through big victories. It's built by noticing any victory. Did you show up today when you didn't feel like it? Did you speak up when it scared you? Did you move forward even when no one was watching? Celebrate that, because what you celebrate, you reinforce. Confidence grows where acknowledgement flows. Quick mindset shifts for magnetic confidence. Let's close this chapter with some simple mental upgrades from what if I fail to what if I grow, from their better than me to their further I'm on my way, from I hope they like me to let me see. If we align from I don't know enough to I'm learning, I bring lick value. Every time you upgrade your self-talk, you upgrade your identity, and your identity creates your influence. Action steps. Confidence reps you can do today. Here's your confidence workout. Power posture. Stand tall for 2 minutes. Breathe deeply, shoulders back. Head up, feel the shift, walk like a leader. Mirror pep talk, look yourself in the mirror. Say, I've got this. I trust myself, let's go. Say it like you mean it. Micro win journal. Write down 3 small wins from today. Anything counts. Confidence grows when you track progress. Do one brave thing, speak up, reach out, show up. Confidence is built in motion. Final thoughts, let your power speak. Confidence doesn't mean you'll never doubt. It means you trust yourself to keep going even when you do. You don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You just need to be present, prepared, and persistent. When you walk into a room with magnetic confidence, you don't just take up space, you change it. Remember, you were never meant to shrink. You were meant to shine. Step up, speak up, lead with presence, and the world will feel it. In the next chapter, we'll dive into the one thing that makes or breaks influence faster than anything else. Trust, because once people trust you, they'll follow you anywhere. Chapter 5. Reciprocity and the rule of give first. The invisible power of giving. Let's start with a simple truth. People remember those who give, not just material gifts, not flashy favors, but time, effort, energy, insight, kindness. In this chapter, we're exploring a concept so ancient, so deeply wired into our psychology that it governs how we respond to friends, strangers, even enemies. That concept is reciprocity, the rule of give first. Here's what we'll cover. Why giving unlocks influence and trust. How small gestures create powerful social bonds. The difference between strategic generosity and manipulation. Ways to create meaningful value in relationships. real-life examples from business, networking, and dating, because influence isn't just about being persuasive, it's about being valuable. When you give first without keeping score, you become someone people want to follow, help, and support. So let's dive in. Why giving leads? To influence, reciprocity is one of the oldest and most universal social instincts. Anthropologists have found it in every human culture from ancient tribes to modern cities. Why? Because survival depended on it. I help you hunt today, you help me gather tomorrow. It's how trust formed, how communities thrived, and how reputations were built. Fast forward to today and the same rule applies, just with different tools. You offer a colleague insight, they're more likely to support your project. You give a thoughtful compliment, people warm up to you instantly. You help someone get a foot in the door, they remember you sometimes for life. Psychologist Dr. Robert Cialdini, in his classic book, Influence, calls reciprocity one of the 6 pillars of persuasion. His research shows people feel compelled to repay kindness, even if it's unsolicited. And this isn't manipulation, it's psychology. We are wired to return value to those who give it freely. And those who give first often end up with the greatest influence. Small gestures, big impact. You don't need to give away grand favors to be influential. In fact, the most effective acts of giving are often small, sincere, and personal. Let's look at a few everyday examples. The compliment that opens doors. You're in a meeting, someone shares an idea, you say, that was a sharp insight, I hadn't thought of it that way. What happens? You build connection, you make them feel seen, you subtly increase your influence. One sincere compliment can soften resistance, open someone's mind, or even start a friendship. The helpful tip that earns respect. Imagine a coworker struggling with a software tool. You notice and say, hey, here's a shortcut that might save you time. You just created a bond, you didn't ask for anything, you simply gave, and now they're more likely to help you, listen to you, or speak positively about you later. The thoughtful text that builds. Trust a quick message. Hey, thinking of you, hope things are going well, no agenda, no ask, just a human moment. In a world where everyone's too busy, that kind of gesture hits deep. These moments of generosity aren't loud, but they echo. Strategic generosity versus manipulation. Now, let's make something very clear. Giving to manipulate isn't giving, it's disguised control. People can feel the difference between a sincere offer and a setup. So how do you walk the line between strategic generosity and manipulation? Let's break it down. Strategic generosity means giving with awareness and intention, choosing moments and methods that have impact. Understanding what others value and delivering it, giving without demanding. Expecting or keeping score. Manipulation means giving with strings attached. Using kindness as bait, keeping track to collect on favors later, faking sincerity for personal gain. The key difference: your intent. Strategic generosity says, I give because I can and because it builds relationships. Manipulation says, I give so I can get. Only one of those creates true influence. The other creates resentment, creating value in relationships. Here's where influence gets exciting, because you can design your presence to be valuable in any room. Relationship or interaction. Think of yourself as a value creator. Ask yourself, what does this person need right now, and how can I give it, not in a way that drains you but in a way that expands both of you. Here are 5 currencies of influence you can start giving today. Attention. In a distracted world, full attention is a luxury. Listen with your eyes, ask thoughtful questions, resist the urge to check your phone. Being present is a gift most people never receive. Encouragement. Some people are one kind word away from a breakthrough. You're doing great. I see potential in you. Don't give up now. Encouragement builds emotional equity and people remember how you made them feel. Insight. If you know something that could help someone, share it. A resource, a technique, a shortcut, a warning, useful information freely shared builds credibility fast. Connections. Introduce people, make them feel included. Open doors. When you say you should meet Sondo, you create value that ripples beyond you. Time. Giving even 10 minutes to someone without rushing, without distraction, makes them feel important. Time is your most valuable resource. When you give it, people pay attention. Real examples. How giving creates influence. Let's bring it to life with some practical stories. In business, the consultant who gave first, freelance marketing consultant, wanted to work with a big-name brand. Instead of cold pitching, she analyzed their current campaign and sent them a free video audit with suggestions. No ask, no invoice, just value. They were so impressed they called her the next day and booked a full campaign. Why? She gave first. She showed value without asking for anything. In networking, the connector. One man made it his mission to introduce 2 people every week who could benefit each other. He became known in his industry as the super connector. Soon people started coming to him with opportunities, partnerships, and deals. Not because he asked, but because he gave. In dating, the listener. A woman went on a date and simply asked deep, curious questions and really listened. She didn't try to impress, she just gave the other person space to feel seen. The person later said, I felt more connected in one night than I have in years. All she gave was presence and it changed everything. The rule of give first, a life strategy. Here's what separates average influencers from unforgettable ones. They don't wait to be asked, they don't give to impress. They give because it's who they are. That's the energy that builds trust. That's the mindset that creates magnetic influence. Because when you give first, two things happen. You stand out because so few people do it. You rise because value always flows toward those who create it. Action steps. Practice the rule of give. First, here's your challenge today. Give before you ask. Send a compliment, offer a tip. Make an intro, share a resource. Encourage someone silently struggling. Do it with no strings and watch what happens. Mindset shifts for strategic giving from what can I get out of this to what can I contribute to this, from how can I get them to like me to how can I add value to their day, from networking is awkward to giving is natural. These are the shifts that make you powerful and unforgettable. Final thoughts. The influence of a giver. You don't need to be rich to give. You don't need a big title to offer value. You don't need a spotlight to shine light on others. The rule of give first is a lifelong advantage. Because when you lead with generosity, you don't just build influence, you build a reputation that speaks louder than words. In the next chapter, we'll dive into the foundation of every powerful relationship, trust. Because without trust, influence breaks. But with it, there are no limits. Chapter 6, Social Proof and Herd. Mentality, the power of the crowd. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever walked into a restaurant, noticed it was completely empty, and decided to go somewhere else? Or maybe you saw two street performers. One had a huge crowd around them, the other didn't. Without thinking, you walked toward the one with the crowd. You didn't plan it, you didn't analyze it, you just followed the lead of others. That's social proof, that's herd mentality in action. In this chapter, you're going to discover why people instinctively follow the crowd. How authority, testimonials, and popularity shape perception. How to build social proof even if you're just starting out. How to use group dynamics to influence others. And finally, how to become the go-to person in your circle if influence is the game. Then social proof is your secret weapon. Let's unlock it. Why people follow others. Humans are social creatures. Long before smartphones and social media, we survived by sticking together. If the tribe ran from the rustle in the bushes, you ran too. Hesitation could mean death. Today our lives are safer, but the instinct remains. We follow. What others are doing, what others are choosing, what others are praising. It saves time, it reduces risk, it feels safe. If so many others like it, it must be good. If everyone else is doing it, maybe I should too. Psychologists call this formational social influence. The idea that we trust the behavior of the group, especially when we're uncertain. It's why bestseller lists matter, lists. It's why products show 5-star ratings. It's why testimonials influence us more than statistics. Here's the truth. People don't like being the first to believe in something, but they love being the 10th or the 100th or the 1,000th. The influence of authority, testimonials, and crowds. Let's break down the 3 most powerful types of social proof you can use. Authority, endorsements. We naturally trust people in positions of power or expertise. A doctor says a supplement works, we buy it. A celebrity wears a brand, it becomes a trend. A professor cites a study, we accept the result. Why? Because authority gives permission to believe. You can borrow authority too. Even if you're not yet the expert, you can quote, partner with, or get featured by someone who is. Testimonials and reviews. What others say about you carries more weight than what you say about yourself. A glowing review builds trust. A story from a happy client convinces better than a polished pitch. A friend's recommendation beats a billboard. People want proof, not promises, and testimonials provide evidence of value. You don't need hundreds, just a few authentic, specific stories can change the game. The crowd effect. When people see others engaged, they assume value. A long line at a coffee shop must be good. A social post with thousands of likes must be worth reading. A YouTuber with a large following must be credible. This is called the bandwagon effect, and it fuels herd mentality. Remember, people follow people who are already being followed. How to build social proof. When you're starting out, now you might be thinking, this sounds great, but what if I'm new? What if I don't have testimonials, followers, or big wins yet? Perfect, because now we talk about building social proof from scratch. Here's how. 1. Start small, then showcase. You don't need massive numbers, just visible proof. Help one person and share their success story. Get your first client and feature their feedback. Write one great article and highlight a key takeaway. Document the journey, not just the destination. Make your wins, no matter how small, public, and persuasive. 2. Use borrowed credibility. Not everyone has built authority, but everyone can borrow it. Collaborate with someone more established. Get featured on a niche podcast or blog. Volunteer your skills to a respected brand or project. Their platform adds weight to your reputation. It's not cheating, it's smart positioning. 3. Create the impression of momentum. You can manufacture momentum in ethical ways. Show progress. 5 new clients this month. Use numbers. Over 200 hours coaching experience. Highlight engagement. Most downloaded episode yet. People follow what feels like it's already moving. So show the movement. 4. Ask for testimonials. Now, even if you've only helped a few people, ask them, would you be open to sharing what changed for you after we worked together? Frame it as helping others because it does. Then display that feedback with pride. 5. Be worthy action as social proof thrives in visible spaces. Speak up in online communities. Answer questions in groups. Post helpful content publicly. Show your face. Be human. Invisibility kills influence. Visibility builds it. Leveraging group dynamics. When you understand how people behave in groups, you can influence them more effectively. Here's how to use group psychology in your favor. 1. Create a mini movement. Position your idea, service, or message as something people can be part of. Use language like join, be part of together. Create a group name, mission, or identity. Highlight others who are already in. People love being part of a tribe. Give them one and they'll follow proudly. 2. Showcase what others are doing. People take action when they see others doing the same. Testimonials. Here's what Sarah said after working with me. Screenshots. Just help someone hit their first 1K online. Case studies. This is how we got 50% more leads in 3 weeks. Don't just say you can help. Show who you've already helped. 3. Highlight shared identity. If you're influencing a group, show that you understand them. Use phrases like, if you're like me, you've probably, we all want to. As creatives, business owners, Sean students, we know this creates unity. People are more likely to listen to someone who speaks like them, thinks like them, and represents them. Becoming the go-to in your circle. Influence starts local. You don't need to be famous. You just need to be trusted, respected, and remembered in your world. Here's how to become the go-to person. 1. Be visible and valuable. Share what you know. Speak with confidence. Show results. Over time, people begin to say, if you need X, talk to your name. That's authority, and it comes from visibility plus value. 2. Build your own micro-platform. Start a newsletter, podcast, YouTube channel, or community, even if it's small. When you create a platform, people see you as a leader, not just a participant. You don't need thousands. You just need to start. 3. Celebrate others publicly. One of the fastest ways to rise is to lift others up. Tag people, highlight their wins, share their stories, thank them openly. Generosity increases visibility and goodwill. And people love the one who gives the spotlight, not just takes it. Mindset shift from seeker to source. Stop waiting to be discovered. Become the source of value, ideas, and movement. Because once people start looking to you, asking for your input, and trusting your voice, you're not just part of the crowd, you're leading it. Final thoughts. The crowd is watching. Remember this, people want to do what others are doing. People trust what others are trusting. People follow what feels popular, safe, and validated. Social proof isn't cheating. It's human nature. And once you learn how to build it with honesty and intent, you'll influence not by chasing people but by attracting them. In the next chapter, we'll talk about another superpower, trust, because social proof gets you noticed, but trust keeps you followed. Let's master that next. Chapter 7, the subtle art of framing. Change the frame, change the game. There's a saying in psychology, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. But I'll take it even further, it's not what happens, it's how it's framed. In this chapter, you're going to learn a mind-altering truth. Reality is negotiable. Not because we lie, not because we manipulate, but because the way we present information changes how people feel about it. That's the power of framing. Why perception is everything. 2 people can look at the same situation and come away with completely different opinions. One sees opportunity, the other sees threat. One sees value, the other sees cost. Same facts, different frame. And whichever frame you present becomes the reality your audience accepts. Let that sink in, because once you understand this, you can influence anyone ethically, powerfully, and consistently. The psychology of framing works because the brain is lazy but efficient. It uses shortcuts to make decisions. We don't process all the data. We grab onto the first frame of meaning that makes sense. Example, you walk into a store and see a sign, now 50% off, you feel like you're saving money. But what if the item was overpriced to begin with? It doesn't matter because the discount frame triggers action. Or think of this. 90% fat sounds healthy, contains 10% fat, sounds unhealthy, same numbers, different emotional impact. That's the power of framing. Anchoring, the first number always wins. Anchoring is one of the most powerful forms of framing. It means the first piece of information someone sees becomes their reference point for everything else. Let's say you're selling a course. If you say it's just $99, that sounds affordable. But if you first say most similar courses are $499, mine is only $99. Suddenly $99 feels like a steal. Why? Because of the anchor. In negotiations, the first number thrown out often sets the stage. If you want $60K salary, ask for $75K. If you want $1,000 for your service, show $2,000 worth of value first. Whoever anchors first shapes the conversation. Don't be afraid to set the frame early. Contrast, framing. The brain loves comparisons. Contrast is another brain shortcut. We decide value by comparing, rarely in isolation. Example, you walk into a store. There's a $1,000 suit next to a $251. You buy the $250 suit thinking you got a deal. But what if you'd only seen the $250 suit by itself? It might have felt expensive. The expensive item made the other one feel reasonable. That's contrast, framing in action. Use this in persuasion. Compare your offer to something more costly or less valuable. Contrast a current pain with the ease of your solution. Show what they lose without your idea versus what they gain with it. People don't evaluate ideas logically. They evaluate relatively. Scarcity, framing influence through urgency. Scarcity taps into a primal fear loss, and when something feels scarce, we assign it more value. Only 3 seats left. Offer expires in 24 hours. Limited to 100 members. You're not lying, you're framing truth in a way that moves people to act. People are more influenced by the fear of missing out than the promise of gain. That's why good influencers don't just inform. They frame decisions as urgent, rare, or time-sensitive, but do it with integrity. Scarcity works when it's real. Fake urgency backfires and breaks trust. Reframing, turning weaknesses into strengths. Great influencers don't hide their weaknesses, they reframe them. Let's say you're new in your field. Instead of saying, I don't have much experience, you say, unlike others set in their ways, I bring a fresh, innovative perspective. Or I may be new, but that means I'm deeply invested in each client. I'm not just running a volume business. Same fact, different story, different emotional impact. Think about politicians or product marketers. A flaw becomes a feature, a gap becomes a strength, a challenge becomes a sign of authenticity. Here's how to reframe a weakness. Own it, be honest, flip it. Turn it into an asset, tie it to a benefit, show how it helps the other person. This builds trust and influence, political, advertising, and negotiation. Examples, let's look at real-world framing and action. Politics. Candidate might say we need to raise taxes. That sounds painful. But if they say we need to invest in our future, it feels hopeful. Same policy, different frame. Or cutting healthcare versus reducing government waste. Gun control versus common sense gun safety. Words shape perception, and perception shapes public opinion. Advertising. Luxury brands don't sell products, they sell status. Apple doesn't say buy our phone, they say think different. They're framing their brand as elite, forward-thinking, and bold. Old Spice didn't just sell deodorant. They reframed the product with humor, masculinity, and bold personality. Framing is branding, and great brands control the frame. Negotiation. Let's say you're in a salary negotiation. You don't say, I need more money. You say, given the value I'm creating and the results I've delivered, I believe a revised package reflects the next level of contribution I can offer. That's framing. Or you're pitching a high price. Instead of it's expensive but worth it, say it's an investment that saves you X hours, Y dollars, and Z headaches. Frame the outcome, not the cost. Practical ways to use framing. Today, let's make this real. Here's how you can apply framing immediately. 1. Frame every offer as a benefit, not a feature. Instead of saying, I coach people one-on-one, say, I help people overcome self-doubt and create breakthrough results through direct, tailored support. Sell results, not details. 2. Anchor high, then offer value. If you're pitching, start by anchoring a higher value. Most people pay $1,000 for this kind of program. I've made it available for $299. Now $299 feels like a deal, not a cost. 3. Reframe every objection. When someone says, I don't have time, reframe it. That's exactly why this is perfect for you, because it saves time, or that shows you're busy, and that's exactly who this is designed for. High performers with no time to waste. 4. Use because studies show that adding a reason to a request increases compliance even if the reason is weak. I'd love for you to join because this can directly help your insert benefit. Reason, reassurance, action, final thoughts, frame. Like a master to master influence, you must master framing because the person who controls the frame controls the meaning, and the person who controls the meaning controls the decision. Let's recap. People act based on how things feel. You shape those feelings through framing. Anchor high. Contrast with alternatives. Show scarcity, reframe objections. Turn flaws into value. Always lead with clarity, confidence, and ethical persuasion. The next time you speak, pitch, post, or propose, ask yourself, am I framing this in a way that leads to a yes? If the answer is yes, you're not just playing the game, you're mastering it. Chapter 8. Influence through empathy. Win hearts before minds. Let me tell you a secret. In all the strategies you've learned so far, influence through confidence, language, framing, there's one ingredient that without it makes everything else fall flat. It's not IQ. It's not charisma. It's not power, it's empathy. And in a world overloaded with noise, fast talkers, and shallow promises, empathy is your edge, because people don't follow those who speak the loudest. They follow those who make them feel seen, heard, and understood. Emotional intelligence as a superpower. Let's get this straight. Empathy is not weakness. Empathy is not soft, empathy is power. It's the beating heart of emotional intelligence. The skill to recognize emotions in yourself and others and to respond effectively. Research shows that leaders with high emotional intelligence outperform others consistently. They build stronger teams, close more deals, create loyal followers. Why? Because they connect not just logically but emotionally. They don't guess what people want, they feel it. And then they respond in ways that earn trust, respect, and influence. That's emotional intelligence in motion. That's empathy applied, reading people deeply and responding authentically. Every person is broadcasting signals in their tone, their posture, their eyes, in their silence, their hesitations, their energy. Most people miss these cues, but not you, because you're learning to read beneath the words. Let's talk about how to do that. 1. Observe the nonverbal. When someone walks into a room, don't just hear their words. Watch how they carry themselves, how much eye contact they make, how their tone changes when certain topics arise. Their body speaks long before their mouth does. 2. Listen between the lines. Someone might say, I'm fine, but their shoulders are slumped, their tone is flat, they avoid eye contact. That's your cue. Something's off. The emotionally intelligent influencer doesn't ignore that. They ask gently, you sure you're okay? You don't seem like yourself. That question alone builds trust. Why? Because most people never hear it. Validation, listening, and mirroring influence isn't about impressing. It's about making others feel important. That starts with validation. 1. Validation. Validation doesn't mean agreeing with everything someone says. It means acknowledging their perspective. Example, that must have been really frustrating. I can see why you'd feel that way. Sounds like that was a big deal for you. You're not solving their problem. You're letting them know. You're not alone, I get it. That alone shifts the energy in the room. 2. Deep listening. Listening is underrated but massively influential. Most people listen to reply. Influencers listen to understand. That means no interrupting, no judging, no yeah, but replies instead. Be fully present. A silent, attentive listener is magnetic. People trust you more when they feel heard. 3. Mirroring. Mirroring is a subtle, powerful way to build connection. It means reflecting back someone's tone, words, and body language in a natural way. If they speak slowly, you slow down. If they lean in, you lean slightly too. If they use specific words like frustrated or excited, you use those same words. Mirroring makes the other person feel in sync with you, and when people feel in sync, they open up, they agree more. They follow more easily. It's not manipulation, it's rapport building. Building trust and emotional bonds. Trust isn't built by facts, it's built by feelings, and empathy is the bridge between strangers and trust. So how do you build that bridge consistently? 1. Be vulnerable first. Many people wait for others to open up first, but real influencers go first. They share something personal, real, even slightly imperfect. Example, I struggled with that too. Honestly, took me a while to figure it out. Now the other person feels safe to drop their guard. Vulnerability breeds trust. It's not about oversharing, it's about being human. 2. Be curious, not judgmental. Empathy thrives in curiosity. Instead of labeling someone as difficult, ask what's behind their behavior. What pressure are they under? What are they not saying? That shift in mindset changes how you interact. And often people soften simply because someone finally cared enough to look deeper. Becoming someone others want to follow. Influence isn't just about persuasion. It's about becoming someone people naturally gravitate toward. Someone who makes others feel seen, lifts others up, leads with heart, not ego. You don't need to be the smartest in the room. Be the one who connects the most. Be the one who remembers names, sends kind messages, asks how others are really doing, offers help before it's asked for. These aren't small gestures, they're power moves, because in a world of performers, kindness stands out. Authenticity wins, and empathy, it's your superpower. Practical ways to use empathy to influence. Let's turn empathy into strategy. Here's how to apply what you've learned starting today. 1. Use emotionally intelligent language. Instead of saying that's wrong, say, I see it differently. Here's why. Instead of calm down, say, I can see this really matters to you. Simple shifts, massive impact. 2. Ask open-ended questions. Try what's really on your mind today. What's the biggest challenge you're facing right now? How can I support you better? These invite honesty and build depth. 3. Say their name. People love hearing their own name. It grounds them. It personalizes the moment. You know, Sarah, the way you handled that was really impressive. Small detail, big trust builder. 4. Send unsolicited encouragement. Text someone, voice message a friend, email a colleague, not asking for anything, just showing care. Those gestures echo in people's minds, and when you speak later, they'll listen. Final thoughts, influence with heart. Let's recap what we've learned. Empathy is emotional intelligence in action. It's the secret to connection, trust, and influence. Listen deeply, validate, mirror, be vulnerable. Lead with curiosity, not judgment, be kind. Not to manipulate, but to connect. Because ultimately, people may forget your pitch. People may ignore your logic, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Make them feel seen, heard, valued, and they'll follow you. Not because they have to, but because they want to. That is true influence. That is mastery of the game, Chapter 9. Strategic thinking and influence games. Play the long game, win every time. Picture this. You're in a conversation, not just talking, but calculating. You're not reacting, you're anticipating. You're not pushing, you're guiding. This isn't manipulation, this is strategy. Because real influence isn't random, it's not luck, it's a game of skill. And the best players think several steps ahead. Welcome to the influence games, where perception is power and foresight is your secret weapon. Influence is chess, not checkers. Let's start with a simple truth. Most people play checkers. Influencers play chess. What's the difference? Checkers is fast, reactive. Move to move, chess is slow, deliberate. Every move sets up the next. That's how you must approach influence. You don't just focus on the outcome you want today. You think 5 moves ahead. How will this person feel tomorrow? How will this decision affect my reputation next month? How can I create conditions where people influence themselves? This is strategic influence. It's subtle, it's smart. And when done right, it's nearly invisible. How to think several steps ahead. Let's break it down. Strategic thinkers don't rush. They map. Here's your playbook. Begin with the end in mind. Before you speak, ask, what's the ultimate outcome I want? Is it approval, action, agreement, or trust? Knowing your end game clarifies your moves. Never start an influence attempt without defining your target. Assess the terrain. Every influence game happens within a landscape. Ask yourself who's involved. What are their needs, fears, and incentives? What power dynamics are at play? This isn't about guessing. It's about reading the room like a grandmaster reads the board. Identify the leverage points. You don't need to control everything. You just need to identify what moves the needle. That might be a key decision maker's opinion, a piece of missing information, an emotional hook that changes minds. Find the one domino, tap it, watch the others fall. Think in scenarios. Ask yourself, if I say this, what might they think or do next? If I pause here, what tension will that create? If I give them a small win now, what will that buy me later? Strategic influencers play if-then games in their minds constantly. They plan 3 steps beyond the obvious. Reading power dynamics in any situation. Let's go deeper. Influence isn't just about people. It's about power. Every room has unspoken hierarchies. Who speaks the most? Who do others look to for cues? Who has nothing to say but everything to approve? You must learn to spot these patterns fast. Let me give you a secret. The person with the most power isn't always the one talking. Sometimes it's the quiet one everyone's trying to please. Sometimes it's the emotional center, the persons who others emotionally depend on. Observe these indicators. Who interrupts without being challenged? Who others try to impress or agree with? Who can say little yet shift the group's mood? Once you identify the power player, your strategy becomes clear. You don't need to influence everyone. You need to influence the right one. Applying games theory to real life. Now we get into the fun part, games theory. Game theory is the study of how people make decisions in competitive or cooperative environments. It's not just for economists or mathematicians. It's for influencers. Here's how to apply it. Understand the player. Types in any interaction. People fall into types. Competitive players want to win, even at your expense. Collaborative players want mutual wins. Neutral players just want stability and ease. Tailor your strategy accordingly. With competitive types, show how your idea gives them an edge. With collaborative types, emphasize shared success. With neutral types, focus on peace of mind, not excitement. Find the Nash equilibrium. This is a game theory concept where everyone settles into a position where no one benefits from changing their move. In influence terms, it's where your offer feels like the obvious choice for them, given their incentives. You align your ask with what they already want or need, and boom, resistance drops. Use iterated games. One-time games are different from repeat ones. If you're dealing with someone you'll interact with again, your influence strategy must consider future rounds. Be fair, be consistent, build trust. That way your influence increases over time because people learn they can rely on you. influencing without being detected. This is where influence becomes an art form. Sometimes the most powerful move is the one no one sees. Here's how to influence without being obvious. Ask, don't tell. People resist commands, but they embrace ideas they believe are their own. So ask, what do you think would work best here? How would you feel if we tried this? What do you think is the biggest priority? Lead them to the idea and let them take ownership of it. That's stealth influence at its finest. Let silence do the work. Silence creates space. And in that space, people often reveal what matters most. Use silence strategically after making a suggestion when someone's processing to create tension and weight. Silence isn't awkward, it's power. Use third-party stories instead of via saying, you should do this. I had a client once who faced something similar. What worked for them was people drop their defenses when advice feels like a shared story, not a direct push. Strategic influence in action, real-life examples. Let's look at how this plays out in real life. Business, a savvy negotiator doesn't just pitch hard. They map out what the other party wants, what fears might be holding them back, who inside the company influences the final decision. Then they shape their pitch like a mirror to those elements, appealing to both logic and emotion. That's not luck, that's chess politics. Ever wonder why certain politicians repeat the same story 10 different ways? It's not because they ran out of material, it's because they're framing the same narrative for different minds. Each version is calibrated, each word is strategic. They're not reacting. They're orchestrating social situations. A socially intelligent person walks into a room and scans it like radar. They pick up on who's talking too much, insecurity, who's being ignored, opportunity, who holds sway, key connection, and then they speak intentionally, not impulsively. And suddenly they become the center without fighting for it. That's strategic influence. Final tools for strategic influencers. Let's arm you with a few more tools before we wrap. The power pause. Before reacting, pause and ask, what's my best next move? Not just the easiest. The what's in it for them test. If your ask doesn't clearly benefit them, reframe it. The delay to play principle. Sometimes holding back a move builds anticipation and increases impact. The multi-move setup, don't play for now. Play to create a setup for a bigger ask later. Think like a strategist, move like an artist. Influence like a master, final thoughts. Influence is an ongoing game, remember this. Influence is not a single move. It's a series, not a pitch, but a performance. Not domination, but direction. The best influencers, they don't push, they position. They don't demand, they design. And they always stay 3 steps ahead. Because in this game, you're not just playing pieces, you're playing people. Master that and the game becomes yours. Chapter 10, Dark Influence and Ethical Power. Use your power, don't abuse it. Let's pause, take a breath. You've come a long way. You've learned how influence works, from the power of presence to the psychology of persuasion, from strategic thinking to emotional connection. You've gained the tools, the frameworks, the mindset. You're ready to master the game. But before you step onto the board, there's one more truth we need to face. Every power has a shadow and influence. When misused, can become something darker. Not leadership, not persuasion, but manipulation. This chapter is your shield and your compass. We're going to explore the dark side of influence, how to recognize it, defend against it, and never become it. Because real mastery isn't just about being powerful, it's about being powerful and good. Recognizing manipulation tactics. Manipulation wears many faces. Sometimes it's obvious, like a threat or a lie. Other times it hides behind charm, compliments, or even love. Here are some common manipulation tactics you must be able to spot. Gaslighting. This is when someone makes you question your reality. They twist facts, deny your feelings, or rewrite history to make you doubt yourself. Gaslighters don't want clarity, they want control, guilt tripping. Instead of asking, manipulators shame you into action. After all I've done for you, if you really cared, it's emotional blackmail disguised as love. Love bombing, flooding someone with praise, gifts, or attention to create dependence, then withdrawing it to punish or control. It feels like affection at first, but it's conditional and calculated. Triangulation, involving a third party to manipulate dynamics. Even Sarah agrees with me. Everyone else thinks you're overreacting. It isolates you and builds false alliances. The scarcity trap, creating false urgency or FOMO, fear of missing out, to pressure decisions. Used often in sales and cult-like communities, this triggers irrational action under the illusion of risk, the shadow side of persuasion. Let's get brutally honest. Every persuasive tool you've learned in this audiobook, everyone can be weaponized. Framing can be used to deceive. Storytelling can bypass logic and implant false beliefs. Reciprocity can trap someone into obligation. Even empathy can be faked for gain. The most dangerous influencers aren't loud. They're charming, not forceful, but calculated, not abusive, but subtly exploitative. This is why understanding influence isn't enough. You must also develop discernment. So ask yourself, am I helping this person make an informed decision, or am I leading them somewhere they wouldn't go if they had all the facts? That's the ethical line, and only you can guard it, protecting yourself from psychological control. Now let's shift. What happens when you are the target of manipulation? How do you defend yourself? Here are powerful internal tools. Build self-awareness. Know your own emotional triggers. Do you crave approval? Are you conflict avoidant? Do you fear missing out? Manipulators exploit blind spots. Awareness makes you immune. Pause before committing. Urgency is a manipulator's weapon. Buy time. Think clearly. Ask, do I feel pressure or peace? Am I being informed or persuaded too quickly? If it's pressure, step back, set boundaries early. You don't need a reason to say no. A respectful influencer will accept your limits. A manipulator will test guilt or ignore them. Boundaries reveal who you're really dealing with. Trust patterns, not apologies. Words can lie. Patterns don't. If someone repeatedly uses charm to cover over control, believe the pattern, not the excuses. The ethics of using influence. Now we come to the heart of it. You've gained powerful tools in this audiobook. You can shape perception, move emotions, design decisions. So here's the question. How will you use your power? Let's define ethical influence. It means respecting free will, offering truth, not illusion, creating win-win outcomes, leading by inspiration, not manipulation. Here are 3 internal rules to live by. 1. Intent before impact. Before you speak, ask, why am I saying this? What do I hope happens next? If your intent is control or ego, it's not ethical influence. If your intent is clarity, confidence, or mutual benefit, move forward. 2. Mutual respect. Always, influence isn't about tricking someone, it's about helping them choose better. When you respect someone's intelligence and agency, you gain real trust and lasting power. 3. Transparency builds legacy. Don't hide your influence, own it. Say things like, here's my perspective and here's why I believe in it. Let me explain how I came to this conclusion. You're free to disagree. This is just what I've seen work. Transparency doesn't weaken your message, it amplifies it. Because when people trust you, they follow more than your words. They follow your character. How to stay powerful and good. Ethical influence isn't a fixed destination. It's a practice, daily choice. Here's how to stay aligned. Do inner work. The more secure you are, the less you need to manipulate. Confidence rooted in truth doesn't need tricks. Work on your identity so you don't need external approval to feel powerful. Surround yourself with grounded people. You become like the people you surround yourself with. Seek those who challenge you with integrity, not those who enable shortcuts. Let your circle keep you sharp and sincere. Mentor. Don't manipulate when you influence someone younger or less experienced. Don't take advantage. Lead them, grow them, teach them to think for themselves. That's legacy. Check yourself regularly. Power can be intoxicating. Check in. Am I using fear or truth? Am I creating dependence or empowerment? Am I leaving people better or just more compliant? Course correct with honesty always. Final reflection. Influence is sacred. Let's end with this. Influence is sacred. It's not just a tool, it's a responsibility. You shape how people think, feel, and act. You can use that power to manipulate, dominate, and deceive. Or you can use it to elevate, inspire, and transform. The dark side is real, but so is the light. And if you walk the path of ethical power, if you play the game with integrity and wisdom, you won't just influence people, you'll lead them. You won't just win the moment, you'll win their respect. And most importantly, you'll win yourself. Conclusion, your new identity as a master influencer. Step into the role you were born to play. So here you are at the end of this journey, or rather the beginning of a new one. You've just unlocked some of the most powerful truths about human nature, communication, and leadership. You've studied the art of influence from psychology to presence, persuasion to empathy, strategy to ethics. And now it's time for the final shift. Not more knowledge, but identity. Because information changes what you know. Identity changes who you are. This final chapter is about stepping fully into your new role. As a master influencer, let's walk this together. Recap the core principles of influence. Before we move forward, let's reflect on where you've been. You've learned that the brain is a pattern-seeking, emotionally driven machine, meaning influence happens below the surface. That first impressions shape outcomes before a word is spoken. That the language of leaders is precise, intentional, and rooted in story. That confidence is magnetic and built from within. That reciprocity and social proof are ancient triggers hardwired into us. That how you frame an idea is more powerful than the idea itself. That empathy is not soft, it's strategic. That influence is a game of positioning, reading dynamics, and thinking ahead. And finally, that ethical power is the highest form of influence. Each of these ideas is a piece of a greater truth. Influence is not a trick, it's not a hustle. It's not about control, it's about alignment, clarity, and connection. It's about knowing yourself so well that others feel safe trusting you. The identity shift from passive to powerful. You're not the same person who started this audiobook. You may have entered curious, maybe even skeptical, wondering if influence was something only certain people had. But now you know the truth. You don't need to be born with it. You just need to train it. Influence isn't a gift, it's a discipline. Like any skill, it grows when you practice it with intention. This isn't about pretending to be someone else. This is about becoming more of who you truly are with precision and presence. You're not here to play small. You're here to move minds, to shift rooms, to shape conversations, decisions, and lives. That's what powerful people do, and that's what you do now, growing your influence daily. So how do you keep this momentum going? Here are 4 ways to grow your influence every single day. Practice self-awareness. Every interaction is feedback. How do people respond to your energy? Are you speaking clearly or confusingly? Are you being persuasive or just loud? Watch, reflect, adjust, grow too. Study people, not just books. Observe others, listen more than you speak. Notice what makes someone trust, withdraw, or engage. People are your greatest teachers. Pay attention, speak with purpose. Every conversation is a chance to lead, inspire, or empower. Choose words that build, not just impress. Don't speak to be liked, speak to be clear, keep it ethical always. The most powerful influencers are the most trusted. Don't manipulate, don't fake. Play the long game. Leave people better than you found them, and your influence will grow without limit. Final motivation. Trained, not born. Let's rewrite the script once and for all. You don't need to be the loudest persons in the room. You don't need 1 million followers. You don't need to be perfect. What you need is clarity in who you are, curiosity about others, courage to lead. That's it. You don't need to be born a master influencer. You just need to be willing to learn. And you've proven that you are, so let go of the old identity, the one who hesitated, played it safe, second-guessed. Step fully into your new role. You are a communicator, you are a leader, you are an influencer, not someday, not maybe. Now, final encouragement and next steps. Before we part ways, here's what I want you to carry forward. Keep practicing. Influence grows with reps. Speak right, connect every day, stay grounded. Let influence come from truth, not ego. Teach others. Help others become more persuasive, more present, more empowered. This is how you build legacy. And finally, trust yourself. The world needs more people who can influence with clarity, courage, and conscience. Be one of them. Don't just play the game, master it. And in doing so, help others master themselves. Music fades in softly. Thank you for joining me on this journey. This is not the end, it's your beginning. Now go out there and influence with intention. You've got this.